several activities like science quiz, debate, workshops, expert talks, poster and model competitions, painting competitions, songs, drama competitions, popular science lecture, science exhibitions are conducted and they become the feature of this day. To follow the vision of MPCST, the Science Club of Rustamji Institute of Technology, BSF Tekanpur, also organize the event every year. This year, due to the exam schedule of RGPV, the program is bit delayed and is being organized on 15th and 16th of March 2021. As we all know, that science has become an integral part of our life, and we cannot even imagine to live without science. This year's event will cover various applications of science in real life. Friends, computer is one of the biggest achievement of science, and today's life is incomplete without computers. And when we talk of computers, data becomes the most important part of it. So, we also start this event by an expert talk by Dr. Ankit Chaudhary, the topic being a very research-oriented topic and quite applicable to real life. The topic for the expert talk is implementation of data science in hospital. On behalf of Science Club RJIT, I, Professor Sohail Ahmad Khan, feel privileged to welcome Dr. Ankit Chaudhary. Students, Dr. Ankit Chaudhary is Associate Professor of Computer Engineering at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Before this, he worked at Department of Computer Science, the University of Missouri, where he was associated with Cyber Security Institute, USA. He has taught and investigated in the area of cybersecurity and data analytics. He developed bachelor's and master's program for cybersecurity funded by local government. Also, he has been part of a cyber awareness program run by Missouri government to investigate cybersecurity issues. So friends, students and teachers, we are privileged enough to have Dr. Ankit Chaudhary with us. Now, on behalf of Science Club RJIT, once again, I welcome Dr. Chaudhary and request Dr. Chaudhary to please deliver his expert talk and proceed. One notification for all the students, a form will be shared with you in a few minutes from now, and you have to fill that form. It's a feedback form. I hope that students and teachers will enjoy this talk because Dr. Chaudhary is at the editorial board of several international journals and serves as the program chair in many conferences. He has served as NSF, DAD grant reviewer and also a reviewer for journals including IEEE transactions. He has been a consultant to different projects in the area of analytics and security. And he has been the associate editor of Computers and Electrical Engineering in Elsevier Journal. I am very sure that faculty members and students will enjoy the talk and will be motivated towards research in the field of science and will make science more beneficial for the nation and society. With this, once again, welcome to Professor Chaudhary. Over to you, Professor Chaudhary.
Well, thank you, Dr. Khan, for kind words. And now I'm going to share the screen. So as all of you would be knowing that this year in 2021, the National Science Day theme was educational skills and work. So we try to make the education skill based so that when the student is going out from the school or when whatever we have learned in the school, we try to apply this in the world. We should gain something, and also we should be able to be productive at the place of employment wherever we would be working. So I would be discussing a topic here which is very relevant with everyone and very easy to understand, and also that has a lot of scope in market, in terms of getting a job, in terms of starting your own company, and also it can be done at any place, need not to be in the big city. So we would be talking about how data analytics can help us in real life, where we can use it. Actually, these days you would be seeing that this has been used at almost every places, from your phone calls to your Amazon cart, which you are getting delivered at your home. So many places this is happening. People are gathering information from you and using it for your services, and they are making money from your data. So we would be discussing here the hospitals, and we can take a case study for one hospital chain. You can assume like Forties. We have many Forties in India. We have many Apollos in India and Max hospitals in India. So you can take one chain of any such hospital brand, and we would be discussing the same scenario, which we have studied and applied the analytics on that. Before that, as I assume that most of the people belongs to either science or engineering, and they already have done the statistics, some data analytics, basic data analytics, or some visualization thing. Although I, before starting this talk, I would like to show you a few things which may be a recap to all of you. So what is data visualization? That I hope everybody know that we have to show data into different forms. And there are different softwares available for that, where we assume that the data would be input and we will see the data in a fancy graph, which would be very helpful for the audience or non-technical people to understand what data is going to show. So it depends on which chart or which type of data we have, and we can see in different format. So there are a few principles of visualization. For example, we should avoid too many superimposed elements. We should find optimal size, a definite aspect ratio, and avoid all data skewed on one side. So we should make appropriate graph. Fine. I think many of you have made graphs in Excel sheet. Many of you have done some data visualization using either Minitab or MATLAB or maybe JMP or maybe Tableau. But let's look at this. This is a graph, or this is a data visualization shown on a TV channel, the Fox News, which is a very reputed channel. And the data they have used with the software produced the pie chart, and you can see the pie chart. We know that in the percentage, this is a division of 100, while in the 2012 elections for the president, if you see the division of the votes, that is very shocking. 63, 60, and 70, which is very, very wrong. Although the software they used, that made no mistake. The process they used, they input data to the software and produced, that was no error. The error was where? The error was in data understanding. When they had data, they have to fit it before giving input to the software. So as a human being, we have more responsibility than the tools, which we just assume that we can use them as black box. Now, there are few standard data visualization elements or some examples which we can see in the literature and can check that how the statistics and the visualization can be different and can be same in some way. So if you see the standard quartile of data visualization. If I see these, I can assume outliers, and this is also different. So all four are different. While if we see the statistics data for the same four graphs, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. For these four graphs, the mean is exactly same. The for X, for Y, the mean is 7.5, and the variance for Y is around 4.12 to 4.127, which is again very similar. So the values, the statistical values are quite similar for these, and the values you would be getting for different calculations would be similar. While on visualization, we can see the behavior of the data, the characteristic of the data is quite different. So whenever we have to treat the data, we have to check the behavior and which direction the data is going. Then only we should try some techniques and we can get better output according to our domain. So these are those few words which I assume most of you would be knowing. What is median, the midpoint, the mean, average, minimum and maximum point, the standard deviation variance, and count. Also, something is called mode, where how many peaks in the data we see, or how many up and down we can see. Generally, we can take mode, like in COVID data, we generally are saying the similar story. We had a peak, and nowadays we are going to have another peak, which probably can go up or probably can finish here, which we are still seeing. So this is called mode, one mode. And if I take this as outlier, then only one mode. If I assume both, I can assume both as mode. It depends on how I take the data. Now, let's see one example from here. So, let's see, I'm going to Fortis Hospital. I have some health problem today, and I'm planning to go to Fortis Hospital, which is next to JNU here in New Delhi. Because this is a working day, I have to go to hospital, so I have to take the leave. And in other countries, like in European and North American countries, taking a leave from job is a issue. Of course, in India also it is issue sometimes. So I have to check with my colleague. Okay, I have to go get some prescription and I have to come back. I have some, let's say, some cold or some fever. I'm talking normal scenario without corona. How much time it will take? And the answer I'm getting is from the hospital data that on an average it took around 7 hours, which means it will take whole day. I was assuming I will go, I will come back. It will take around 3 to 4 hours. So this information brings a very bad reputation for the hospital, that for a small thing, I have to spend around 7 hours. What is the data? How they are calculating this? So these are number of days. These are number of patients which are coming every day, and these are number of hours the patients are spending in the hospital. So this is, some people are spending less than 1 hour, but that means 0, less than 2 hours, that means 1, and so on. And few people are spending 48 hours even. These are number of patients we call ED visits, emergency visits. So we have 1,000 patients, 2,000, and so on. So max is 7,000. And because these are number of hours, number of days will be here this way. So from this data, we see there are only few people who are staying in the hospital for more than 40, like 40, 41, etc. And there are more people who are spending less than 7 or hours in the hospital. So How this value is coming? If they take the mean of whole data, this is what they are saying. And they are doing this marketing or the information in the market, 7 hours just to get prescription is a very bad hospital. Can I get another information from the same data? Because data I cannot change. We know what is median. So if I take the median, that goes like 3.98, around 4 hours. So median is the midpoint, which is 50%. So I can say the same information, what is given here, that in all patients, around 50% are getting treated in 4 hours. 4 hour means half day. In all cases, I was going to take half day leave. So probably that will work for me. If 50% of patient, the length of stay in the hospital is less than 4 hours, and if I take the cumulative of this from here to here, which the number of patients are here and number of total patients are here, this pink line, if you see 80% here are going to be treated in less than 8 hours or around 7.5 hours. That means 80% people we can handle in one day. Only 20% to whom we need to hospitalize, need to go over bed, they are going to stay there for long time, maybe 2 days, maybe 1 week. This information can have a better marketing thing or marketing, better market value for the hospital. Now we have one more chart which I would like to show you before I go further. If there are people from mechanical engineering, they would be knowing the SPC. This is a chart which we generally draw in mechanical electrical engineering. Also, we use this very much in process control. So in SPC, we have a center line, we have other lines which is plus 1 sigma, 2 sigma, and 3 sigma. Similarly, on the downside, minus 1, 2, and 3 sigma. The points above this line and points below this line, we assume outlier. And the center line is considered the average. Anything below this line, anything above this line is considered that the process is in control. So for example, the process going down, up this way. So this is one SPC chart, and this is another SPC chart for the same data. We have split the chart into two parts. So these are for 2 time frames. So if we take only this, we can see the SPC charts are showing, it is showing that the process is in control and there is no outlier this side and this side. We can make the SPC chart using Microsoft Excel or with softwares like JMP or even in Minitab. So I can show you how to make that one SPC chart, then we can directly use it. So let's say I have the data, number of different years, number of patients which came to the department. Let's say we are talking about one department and how long they stayed. So this is an average of that. So if I need to take that SPC of one column, one attribute, let's say I'm taking number of patient, I have to check whether number of patient has been linear in my department over these years, or there was a certain peak or certain down that I need to check. So we can take from the Minitab attributes chart, and I can go with C chart, which is the count chart. And I see this from this data, which you can see that here this is touching red point, still okay. This is outlier, and this is very high. So the people who are coming to hospital, the process was very odd, not linear, and has been in different ways. If I take for the same thing, the length of stay, how our hospital performed in that case, we see that process has been very smooth. over these years, the hospital central line has been the same, and all the data has been around nearby. So how the service we provided with this data, we can see that most of the time the hospitals were doing well. That can show you the share of your different chain. We can see that the share hospital A is having like 10%, while site E, hospital E is having like 40% of the share of the patients. Now we have to check whether the revenues generated are still in the same proportional or not. The relationship graph or the correlationship graph, we also call it a scatter graph, that we have to check how many elements we are taking and how they are correlated, whether outliers are there or they are very strongly correlated. In that case, it would be easy for us what attributes are dependent and what not. So let's go further and we can check how these things which I just discussed, I assume you would be knowing this already from your database class or data mining class or electrical and mechanical engineering, because most of the tricks we get from there. In that case, we have to check if we know these, can we get some information from the data for our hospital chain? And we can also use some process control if we see some process there in the hospital. So this is a case study of a hospital chain. The people came to us, hospital people, they said that we were serving the hospital since long and our central line was very well the same since many years. Since few months, the central line, that how we are serving the patient has gone up. That means we are taking more time now and we have no idea what is happening at this stage. The reason may be few reasons. One, it is possible that patients are more these days and we are not able to serve. Before we were serving 100 patients per day. Now let's say 150 patients are coming every day, so we are not able to serve the extra 50. That may be reason one. Second, the hospital staff is not doing well. They are not performing well these days as they were doing before, and we are not able to serve. It is possible there are patients who are taking more time, and if few patients, if doctors are busy with the few patients, the remaining patients has to wait, and we are not able to serve. So the people who are not happy, who spent one day in the hospital and we were not able to see them, definitely they are not going to come next day. So we are going to lose revenues. So can you tell us what is happening? Should we hire more doctors? Should we hire more hospital staff? Should we do something else? Should we open a new branch of the hospital? What should be your recommendation? That is the point. So, as a data analytics expert or as a data engineer, when somebody come to you and tell the problem, the person is having the information that what has happened or what are the issues. He or she would not be having the data, ready-made data to give to you, also would not be knowing the problem. You have to find the problem, why it is happening, and have to give the solution, have to give analytical solution, how it can be managed and how it can be checked in the future so that these problems should not come again. So we have to check that what are the goals of the hospital to which the problem relates. Are they interested in revenues? Are they interested in serving the patients? Are they interested in asking the patients to leave as soon as possible, or they are asking patients to admit in the hospital? What they are trying to do? What are the relevant indicators in the hospital? What they have to check? I hope everybody understand how the hospital work. So what are the metrics, where we have to focus, from where we have to collect the data. If they say they were working well before, so what is their baseline? Do they have this data available, or should we should start data we can see what is happening, and data will be available moving forward for monitoring. Once the project is over, we have to monitor continuously and evolve our solution. So those questions we have to ask ourselves, then we have to visit the hospital and we have to provide solutions. Now there would be few short terms which I have to use. One is LWBS, which is left without being seen. So when a patient is coming to the hospital, to emergency department, wait, he did wait for few hours or maybe whole day, and we were not, as a hospital, we were not able to treat them, we were not able to see them, so they have to leave the hospital in the evening without meeting the doctor. So those people we call left, they left the hospital without being seen by the doctor, LWBS. And currently, we in the hospital, they claim that it has exceeded the 5% of overall patients which were coming. If 100 people are coming, then they are not able to see 5 patients. So in India, if you see this, this may be I mean, this data on the slide may be a normal thing, but in America, even if one single person is leaving, that brings the bad reputation for the hospital. Also, if we do this, the same data survey, same problem analysis in Indian scenario, this LWBS would be very high with one doctor's hospital. So when we had this information and we collected the data, we saw in from last few months, from 1st of April to August, if you see, we made the SPC, the LWBS rate has been around the baseline, which is 5%. Here you can see this is the black line from here to here, and this has been little up, little down, but the 5%, not very much difference up and down. So this has been consistent and never crossed the outliers, never crossed the red line. But in September, in September, you can see this is the split chart, this is the second chart, this is one chart from here to here, and this is one chart here to here. In September, the baseline has moved around 8%, and you can see the patients are the LWBS are near the baseline, but the average is very high. That means now it is 8%. So we are losing revenues. People are leaving the hospitals without seeing the doctor. They will not come back, of course. I mean, we wasted there one day. So this parameter has moved up. What is the reason? Somebody should tell us the reason, and we would be able to solve this. Now, as the data analyst, you are the problem solver. The hospital owner or the hospital staff, they don't know the problem. That's why they hired you. So you have to go there as engineer and have to solve the problem. So let's see what has happened in the hospital. We have to check. First, we have to check what is the process in that normal hospital. So a patient has to book the appointment. Can I come tomorrow, or can I come, let's say I have this disease, can I come, I need to come when I can come. So they have to book an appointment and they can come, or in emergency they can directly come anytime. So whenever patient enter in the hospital on scheduled day or just in case of emergency any day, they have to wait for the at the reception. So when the person is free at the reception, they can meet. They have to go to the reception. The person will enter the basic information like name, age, and the insurance information. These days, most of the people have insurance, either the government provided or the personal one, and they have to enter in the computer, which is going to be EMR, electronic medical record. After that, the person has to wait for the nurse. The person at the reception has informed the nurse that there's a person for this disease, one particular disease, let's say dermatology, and one person from dermatology will come, a nurse, male or female, and will pick the person. So here the person has to wait for some time. After the registration, person has to wait for some time. Nurse will come and would take the person in the diagnosis room, and based on the initial checkup and the information provided by the patient, some initial diagnosis would happen, and those information would be entered in EMR. This would be the medical information, not the general information, which was done by person at the receptionist. So this is the basic diagnosis. Person like, let's say, temperature, symptoms, if rashes are there on the skin, or any medication the person is taking at this time, that information will go. If some diagnosis is required, the nurse would do that and will ask patient to wait in a separate room, we call the physician room or the doctor room, and will check if doctors need to see the person. Generally, all patients want to see the doctor because they think doctor may give them expert advice. And once doctor is there, doctor can check the report of the initial diagnosis. Doctors can ask for further diagnosis, and further diagnosis report can be entered in the EMR. So if the person leaves after 4, or person is just sitting in the at the step 4 and doctor never see him, doctor is not available, or doctor is busy with somebody else, that also we will call LWBS, doctor was not able to see the patient, or vice versa. If doctor would ask for more tests, if doctor would ask for to admit in the hospital, that is separate. The same thing I can show using the diagram. The person arriving in the department, going for registration, and registration clerk does the quick registration, insurance, etc. Waiting for the nurse, nurse does the diagnosis, and patient transfer to the doctor room. After that, patient may be moved to treatment room if needed, and patient, we say, seen by the physician. So from here till the person is going to registration and nurse does the triage, this is called registration for triage interval, and this is the diagnosis, the waiting time. So from here till the person see the doctor, this is called the waiting time, or we call it waiting. The patient is waiting to be seen by the physician, or WTBS. So we used one LWBS, and this is WTBS. So person is just waiting till the person meets physician. So in this process, we have to check what other things we have with us, whether the number of patient has been increased in last month, or the patient which are staying in the hospital has been increased a lot. Maybe more patients are coming for hospital stay, or there is an increase in WTBS, so more people are waiting and we are not able to see those. Should we hire more doctors? Now, hiring is a big money issue, and generally people avoid that. I mean, you can say that if you are not able to see more patients, so you hire 10 more doctors, the problem would be solved. But that is more revenue expenditure than what you are going to get from those patients. So generally that is not advisable. So what may be the cause that we have to find from the data? So let's see the number of patients. So if we make a chart, a homogeneous chart, we see that everything is normal, everything is around the center line, nothing goes beyond the red line. In such case, the number of patients has been uniform across all the sites, and whatever has happened, that has nothing to do with the number of patients visiting to hospital. There is no problem in there is no high increase in patients. Let's see length of stay. So if you see somewhere in March, somewhere in June, and somewhere in August, somewhere in July, and also in September, which is the main cause here. So here we had some boundary line cases which crossed the red line. They were outliers. So here the data was around the center line. Here the percentage was 5. While here, although there is some peak, but this is less than these peaks, here the center line is going to 8%. So here the value is high, while here the value was less. This is quite different. So what we see here, that if here the value was 5%, then this cannot be the root cause for high number of center line. In
Excuse me,
that
sir.
case, yes.
Sir, I can't see the March one and the other months in the
Okay.
PPT, sir.
Can you see the line here? This
Yes, sir.
data? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is April, this is May, this is June, this is 7 is July, and this is July data, and this is June data.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So when we can't find anything in the input data like number of patient, how much time they are spending in the hospital, whether on the bed or whether as in OPD, that we C is very normal. So what other can the diagnosis for the bed, and this is time just sitting ideal, so that doctor will come and will meet the patient. In such process, we have to break into pieces and we'll see what has been the cause. So based on the data, when we see the correlation between LWBS and W2BS, we see that this is highly correlated and there are only few outliers. Otherwise, the data is very much going in the same direction. That means both values are related. I'm assuming everybody know how to make these graphs. Otherwise, I can, I mean, the only separate thing was the species, which I just showed you using Minitab. Minitab is very easy to use software. It's a free software for academic purpose, and it can do most of the things in data science. Oxford University also use Minitab for data science. So if I see WTBS data, so if you see this from April to August and also for September, The variation in the data is there, although this has been within the red lines, nothing going outside. In September, there is increase in the data, although there's only one outlier of the outside the red line. So this is little odd, but this is not this doesn't seem a big cause so that the center line has gone up. This is the issue, but this doesn't seem the big issue. So let's see if we can find something else. Otherwise, we'll come back to this process. In September, this has gone up. Let's see registration for trials interval. So from April to August, this has been very much near to baseline, which you can see. This is little up, but still below the red line. In September or in the end of August, there has been a high value and few outliers, and all values are above the center line. This seems a problem. Let's see if we find something else, or we can go into this process and can make the pieces of this process to find more details about this. Let's see another case, the diagnosis duration. If we see the baseline of diagnosis duration is like 4.8 something, the black line, while if the diagnosis, the black line is like 9.2 something, the black line here. This is very, very high. So there are two causes. One is trials duration, diagnosis duration, and other one is the registration for diagnosis interval, which is also done by the nurse. Both these are done by the nurse. So something is wrong with the nurse area, within the nurse area, and in both process, this is taking too much time. So we need not to hire the doctors. We need not to hire more. We need not to bring more facilities, new hospitals. We have to see what is happening in the nurse area in these hospitals. So let's go and check with those people. So we did here some root cause analysis, and the process we call it part two analysis, which we did. We went and talked to the people, collected data individually, and checked what has been done. That also include the interviews, separate interviews with the people who are working in those locations. We checked that most of the staff is confused from the design what the software was doing. The people who are working on the system either have worked in the laboratory or on the manual diagnosis. These days, hospitals are working on automated diagnosis with computer, and the staff were confused what this is going to do. So they were thinking more and giving less entries. So they were taking time in registration. Also, based on the software study, we found that there were too many clicks the person has to do. I'm not sure if you have seen the hospital EMR data. There are like 20 boxes on each page which you have to entry, where you have to do entry. It's like filling a form of some application. You have to do entry, entry, entry in everywhere. So too many clicks. The software, how they should use it. Somewhere the diagnosis was very busy and they were not able to do it easily. And there were people who are not trusting the software and they were doing the process manually. If they were doing it manually, it was taking more time. Of course, in that case, the report would be different than the normal software-based report. So the information we collected from the people, that was very different what hospital owner or hospital administration was giving to us. So based on this, we made some changes and find new ways of doing the required work to improve the activities. We had to work with the staff to implement for the improvement and to implement the changes. Also, after those changes, we have to see whether our changes are bringing any fruits in the hospital and the results are back to the normal, or we have to find further if there is any symptom, there is any something new which we have left and not resolved by us. So as data analytics team, when somebody is hiring you, we have this problem. Can you solve us? Can you solve our problem? Can you solve this issue? You have to give the relevant solution to the process. Department, you have to focus locally on the particular unit or the particular area. The solution which you will provide, they must be available to implement in the real time. Nobody is going to wait for 1 year, or my policy result will come in 3 years. It is possible that in 3 years that hospital chain has been kicked out from the market. So all your payments, all your business which you are running with that unit will not be there. So we have to give short solutions which can be implemented in short cycles, and we should give the monitoring solutions or some self-checking solutions in appropriate format which a non-technical person can understand. Mostly the boss, whether in the hospital staff or in an engineering firm, generally they are non-technical. So when you are giving them some charts, they should be easily understand that without any technical difficulty. If the boss is technical, that's a good deal, but you should go with the very simple format because all technicalities should be with you. So when we did work with the hospital staff, did the training, and we started the triage process with the trained staff. You can see the data from 1st of September to the last day of September from here to here in the first SPC. And this is data from 1st of October to the third week of October, 21st of October. This is 3 weeks data. This is 4 weeks data. The center line, which was like 8, the black line, has come around, let's say around 5.8. Here, the black line has been come down, which they were worrying whether they if the line can go up, but this is again back, and this is what they were thinking. Now they can easily say the patient which are left without being seen are around 5.8, which is close to their baseline 5. Although we should possible, we have to give them some charts for monitoring, continuous monitoring, so that any supervisor, any hospital staff, any nurse can see that all the process in this area is normal. If something is going outside the controls, any parameter is going outside the red line, we have to do something to bring it back so that the hospital functions should run well. If you see the 4 week data, which is here, the September data, and this is 4 week October data, the line has come down, which you can assume, let's say 5.8 again, not much, but the LWBS data is continuously to go down. The blue line you can see, and it is possible in November it further can go down. For that, we again have to go to the place of work in the hospital and have to check. Although it depends how much time you can spend on client's end at client's end, and have to deliver some monitoring tools for self-checking. So we provided this information. So the excitement generated with the new project that should end with some good fruits for the organization as well as for the data analytics team. When you have a new site, when you have some new solutions which are available to one domain, to one particular example, those can be implemented with slight changes to other domains and other may not be physically available sites, but you have to check what are possible for that particular area. So we provided few charts which are real-time monitoring charts where we see the number of patients, which you can see like they are almost similar, although in this area they are going high. The average registration to triage time, which is like going normal, not far. Average diagnosis duration is quite linear, you can see. Average W2BS is going down and now it is going linear. We have to see further if it is going up again. And ED visits, length of stay greater than 24 hours are very low now. Less than 24 hours is normal, but more than 24 hours, that means patient has been admitted to the hospital. That's a problematic area for the patient. And people left without being seen, LWBS, which was the main concern, is continuously going down. That was our main purpose in the beginning, which responsibility has been given to us by the hospital staff. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, please let me know. I would be happy to answer.
Yes, dear participants, please ask if there is any query.
So can you tell us about, sir, how to fetch data from the hospital? Sir, how did you get those data?
Yes. So getting data is one of the difficult tasks. Sometime you will see that in any organization, either in hospital or let's say I'm going to police headquarters tomorrow. Generally, they have data normally and will not give to you, or there is no data, so there is no question to give to you. In that case, you have to place your own sensors on image based or on some entry data entry points where you have to start collecting data. If data is not available, then we cannot do anything with the past. We have to collect data from today, the day that the organization is hiring you to solve the problem. For that problem, we have to make sensor based entry in the computing system. We have to put some human being to enter the data. For example, how many patients are coming every day, what kind of disease they are having, how much time they are spending. All these informations are already with the system, computer system, so we can just transfer it to our system anonymously, so we are getting that information directly. How much time they are spending in the diagnosis, how much time they are spending in the diagnosis registration, there is no such registration or no such recording. For that, we have to put a timer, and sensor has to put, okay, before the first bell and this bell 20 minutes, so 20 minutes for registration duration. So we have to put some sensors, some computer data transfer, and some human being for this. And in our case, there were some data collections points before we went there. We got that data. That's why we showed you data from April to August. In September, we saw the data, and from October, we collected the TRIES data that was not there.
Got it, sir.
Anyone else?
Sir, after the data, sir, how you apply those stuffs to know that those things, like you are meaning such graphs and all, like all those things?
So once we have the data, we have no clue what is happening in the system. So
Yes, sir.
we have to check the process. What is the process of the system? For example, this is the process of the system. We have to meet the people. For example, I don't know what is happening in the let's say food plant. Somebody is making biscuits. I don't know what is happening there. So I have to go. I have to check with the people. I have to check with the administration. I have to understand how the process is happening. I have to collect data from different points, and I have to make few root causes, that this may be the root cause or this may be the root cause, and I have to list all of them. After that, I have to check every one whether this is creating the problem or the second one is creating problem. It is possible more than one root cause can be there in the system. So we have to go one by one. We have no idea in the beginning which one had made the root cause. That's why the hospital staff came to us. If they knew the root cause, they could solve it themselves. If the bank
Yes,
is
sir.
coming to you that we don't know what is happening, we are into loss, so you have to solve them. If they know themselves what is the root cause, they will solve it. They don't need you as an engineer to solve their problem.
So if someone says, like, sir, hospital given you data, and they are telling that we don't have any special information about it, sir, how can we get the information about those data they are providing us?
So in the case, I'm not sure what you are asking. Are you asking that information provided to us,
No,
and hospital said there is no specific information in the data, right?
yes, sir. Definitely, sir. So they are not so they are giving us the data, and they are asking us, give us meaningful data from those we are providing to you. Any sense of those data? So they are just telling me those things.
Okay, it is possible that the data which we are having may be available, sorry, which we are getting from the hospital.
Yes, sir.
It is possible that the values are not there which we are looking, or the content which you are looking for is not available in these.
In this situation, sir, what we can do?
In such scenario, we have it is a similar situation, like we are having no data. we
Yes,
have
sir.
we have to go and plant our devices, data collection devices we call it. It may be the sensor, it may be the camera, it may be the human being, it may be the data entry person, it may be the automated transfer. So we have to plant our devices to collect the new data. It is possible there is some data, but that is not useful for us. For example, I work in the university and I know how many students are there. And can you tell me? I mean, the student data is having the name, the age, and the registration number, the ID number. And can you tell me how the demographic distribution is there? Because there is no address, that data is not useful for me. So I have to collect that information extra, and in that case only I would be able to solve that problem. So that data collection process we have to do ourselves if that is not available in the data of the administrator.
Yes, sir. Sir, and what kind of software we are using after we getting those data to make the charts to easily understand?
So there are so many softwares available these days. For example, in this process I use Minitab, which I just showed in the beginning how to use. The same thing can be done with Microsoft Excel, although Excel is little tricky. You have to learn few tricks to make such charts. Minitab or MATLAB or JMP is a company, JMP softwares, and there are also paid softwares from IBM like SPSS. These are very popular software which has a very big share in the market. So when market is using it, big companies and big universities are using it for research, that is considered a reliable software and very I mean, people have done so many experiment with that, so it's considered a good software to do that. You can use GMP, you can use SPSS, you can use Minitab. Most of the data, basic data analysis and visualization can be done with this. Although we have not done any prediction with this, which can be a further a big issue on some organization. What should be the prediction and forecasting? For that, we have to use machine learning tools. That is the extra part.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Chaudhary, for accepting our request and sparing the valuable time out of the busy schedule and delivering the talk on latest trends of science, that is data analytics. I am quite sure that all the students and faculty members will be benefited by your talk and will be motivated for the research, especially in the area of data science and data analytics. Sir, you made the very tough task of the data analytics so easy in your talk that we all were able to understand the various terms and terminology used by you and how to work in the data analytics. I am also thankful to the management of RJIT, Science Club RJIT, and all the organizers for conducting such a beneficial talk in the starting of the National Science Week, which is from 15th to 16th of March. My heartiest thanks to the